Inside a materials lab at Central South University of Forestry and Technology in Changsha, China, a technician lowers a thin strip of bamboo into a clear chemical bath. It comes out looking almost nothing like bamboo. The fibers have gone glassy. Light passes straight through it. Behind a fume hood, another sample is held over an open flame, and it doesn't catch. If this material scales the way its inventors hope, the glass in your windows right now, the glass in your office, your car, your phone screen could be competing with something that used to be a garden plant. Something that grows in 5 years instead of being mined and melted at over 1,000 degrees Celsius. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how scientists turned bamboo transparent, why it might outperform glass in ways that actually matter, and why it's still a long way from your local hardware store. And if you're into stories like this, do me a favor, hit like and subscribe before we get into it. It really helps the channel. Start with the basic problem. Glass is transparent because its structure is disordered. Light passes through without much scattering. Wood and bamboo are opaque for the opposite reason. They're full of fibers, pores, and a stiff, light-absorbing compound called lignin, which is what gives plants their structural strength and their brownish color. Researchers had already figured out, a few years earlier, that if you chemically strip the lignin out of wood, then fill the empty fiber structure with a clear polymer like epoxy, you get something called transparent wood see-through, strong, and a genuinely good thermal insulator. It's been a minor sensation in materials science circles for close to a decade. The Changsha team asked a more practical question. Why wood at all, when bamboo does the same job faster? Bamboo isn't a tree, it's a grass, and one of the fastest growing plants on Earth. The researchers behind this project point out that a stand of bamboo can reach maturity and be ready to harvest in 4 to 7 years, compared to decades for hardwood, acre for acre. Bamboo also produces roughly 4 times the usable material that wood does. That changes the supply math entirely. Their process follows a similar path to transparent wood. Strip the lignin out of the bamboo cell structure, but with a twist. Instead of epoxy, they infuse the bamboo with an inorganic compound called sodium silicate, which is chemically closer to glass itself, and which bends light in a way that makes the fiber structure transparent. Then they apply a water-repelling coating on top. The end result is a 3-layer sandwich: a silane surface, a silicon dioxide middle layer, and the sodium silicate infused bamboo underneath. So how does it actually stack up against a window pane? On light transmission, ordinary glass still wins outright. Architectural glass typically lets through somewhere around 90% of visible light. This bamboo material reaches about 71.6%. That's a real gap, not a rounding error. And it means you wouldn't mistake a sheet of it for a window. Right now it's closer to frosted or lightly tinted glass. Where it starts to compete is everywhere else. It's mechanically strong, the study reports, a bending stiffness of 7.6 gigapascals, light enough that it wouldn't need the same heavy frames glass does, and because it comes from a plant fiber structure rather than melted sand, it's a noticeably better thermal insulator, the same advantage transparent wood has shown in earlier research. In a country under real pressure to cut construction-linked carbon emissions, a lighter, better insulating alternative to glass isn't a cosmetic upgrade, it's an energy bill. And then there's the fire problem, which is where this material actually pulls ahead of everything that came before it, including transparent wood. The team's tests found the treated bamboo was flame retardant and suppressed both smoke and carbon monoxide release when exposed to heat, a real weakness of transparent wood, which, being essentially a plastic-infused plant fiber, burns more readily than people initially assumed when the concept first got attention. Solving that is arguably the whole reason this project exists. There's also a bonus application nobody was necessarily chasing. When the researchers used the transparent bamboo as a base layer under a type of solar cell called a perovskite cell, it acted as a light management layer and boosted the cell's power conversion efficiency by over 15%. That opens a door beyond windows entirely towards solar panels and greenhouse materials that do double duty as structural components. Now, the honest caveat, because this is still very much an if, this is early-stage published research, not a construction material you can order. The samples in the study are lab-scale strips, not the meter-wide architectural panes a real window needs. Nobody has published numbers yet on how much this would cost to manufacture at scale, how it holds up to decades of UV exposure and weather the way tempered glass is proven to, or how the lignin removal chemistry performs and what it costs outside a controlled lab. The 71.6% transparency figure also means, for now, this reads more like a specialty or decorative material than a straight swap for a living room window. The researchers themselves describe their next step as scaling up fabrication, not commercializing it, which is scientists speak for. We're not there yet. Still, it's worth asking who this threatens if it does mature. Standard flat glass is a market worth tens of billions of dollars globally, dominated by a small number of giant producers, companies like China's own Xinyi Glass, Saint-Gobain in France, and NSG in Japan, who between them supply a huge share of the world's architectural and automotive glass. Glass manufacturing is also energy intensive, requiring furnaces run at temperatures above 1,500 degrees Celsius, which makes it a genuine target for decarbonization pressure. China, notably, is positioning itself at both ends of this competition. It's the world's largest glass producer and, through projects like this one of the most active hubs for glass alternatives. Alongside parallel work on transparent wood, transparent ceramics, and film coatings that turn ordinary windows into solar panels. Whoever gets a scalable, fire-safe, plant-based alternative to market first isn't just selling a novelty material, they're offering builders a lighter, better insulating, lower carbon substitute for one of the most universal materials in modern construction. What's striking here isn't that bamboo can be made to look like glass. It's that a plant grown in 5 years might end up doing a job we've relied on melted sand for since ancient Rome. So, the next time you look through a window, ask yourself, how much of what surrounds you was built the way it was, simply because nobody had found something better yet? If you want more stories like this one, tracking the material science coming out of Chinese labs before it hits the mainstream, subscribing and turning on notifications is the easiest way to catch the next one. And here's the one I actually want to know your take on. If a plant-based alternative to glass turns out to cost more per square meter, but cuts a building's carbon footprint significantly, should that trade-off be mandated by building codes or left entirely to the market? Drop your answer below.